Pay attention to this. At first, it looked like a routine arrest, an ICE agent doing his job, a federal lawyer in handcuffs. But within weeks, everything unraveled. She was a black attorney from Ohio, and the case against her collapsed so badly the government paid her $50,000 to make it disappear. What changed everything wasn't a witness or a confession. It was a silent lobby camera that captured a moment no one was supposed to see and exposed a truth that turned the case completely upside down. At 6:41 a.m. on March 18, 2024, a building's lobby camera captured a man stepping into frame, adjusting a knit cap, and pausing beneath a recessed light. The footage had no sound. It did not show a struggle. It showed timing. 47 seconds later, the screen filled with movement as a woman entered, phone in hand, unaware that the quiet of the lobby had already been disturbed. This is where the official explanation would later begin and where it would quickly unravel. The date was March 18, 2024. The time was 6:41 a.m. The location was the Franklin Court Professional Building in Columbus, Ohio. Within minutes, the woman would be dead. Within days, the initial narrative would be challenged by a camera most people had forgotten existed. The obvious explanation came first: a robbery gone wrong, a random act, a tragic encounter between strangers. But the lobby camera and the records that followed would contradict nearly every part of that story. We rewind. The victim was Maya Henderson, age 38, a federal civil rights attorney based in Ohio. She was known for meticulous preparation and a steady courtroom presence. She grew up in Dayton, the daughter of a postal worker and a school counselor. Friends described her as private but disciplined, someone who arrived early and left late, someone who kept calendars filled and notes color-coded. Her mornings were predictable: coffee at home, a short drive downtown, an early arrival to review filings before the phones began ringing. On the morning of March 18th, Maya had a reason to be early. At 9 a.m., a judge was scheduled to finalize a settlement in a civil case Maya had pursued for nearly 2 years. The lawsuit alleged unlawful detention and procedural violations by a federal agency during a workplace enforcement action. The terms had been agreed to the previous week: $50,000, no admission of wrongdoing. The order would be signed that morning. Maya did not know that someone else was tracking the same date. The settlement stemmed from an incident 18 months earlier. Maya had represented a warehouse supervisor detained during a multi-agency operation. Through discovery, she uncovered documentation errors and internal emails suggesting shortcuts taken under pressure. The case drew attention inside the agency. It also drew resentment. The settlement was modest by federal standards, but the implications were not. A quiet payout signaled a weakness no one wanted highlighted. Among those who followed the case was Daniel Reeves, age 46, an enforcement officer assigned to a regional task force. Reeves had been present during the original operation. His name appeared in after-action reports, not prominently, but enough. Internal reviews had questioned the operation's compliance. Promotions stalled. Transfers were denied. Reeves blamed the lawsuit. He blamed Maya. Phone records would later show that Reeves searched her name repeatedly in the weeks leading up to March 18. He reviewed public filings. He saved a map of the Franklin Court building. He did not contact her. He watched. The planning did not involve accomplices. It did not require elaborate tools. Reeves owned a registered firearm. He had access to unmarked vehicles. He knew how cameras worked, or he thought he did. On March 17th at 9:12 p.m., Reeves checked in to a budget motel 8 miles from downtown Columbus. Surveillance footage confirmed his arrival. He paid cash. He left at 6:05 a.m. the next morning. At 6:29 a.m., a traffic camera captured his vehicle entering the garage adjacent to Franklin Court.
At 6:33, he parked on level 2, out of range of most interior cameras. At 6:38, he entered the stairwell. At 6:41, he appeared in the lobby. They don't know this yet. At 6:42 a.m., Maya's car pulled into the same garage. Her phone connected to the building's Wi-Fi at 6:43. She took the elevator. The lobby camera shows her stepping out, scrolling through a message. She never looks up. At 6:44, the footage blurs as Reeves steps forward. There is no sound. The timestamp advances. At 6:45, Reeves exits frame, moving quickly toward the stairwell. At 6:46, Maya's body is visible on the floor, partially obscured by a potted plant. A maintenance worker discovered her at 7:53. The 911 call logged at 7:54 describes an unresponsive woman bleeding, no visible weapon nearby. Police arrived at 7:01. Paramedics pronounced her dead at 7:08. The first press release mentioned a possible robbery. The building was open. It was early. No suspect description. The investigation shifted when detectives reviewed the lobby camera in full.
The camera had been installed 5 years earlier after a break-in. It recorded continuously but overwrote footage every 14 days. The building manager almost forgot to mention it. When he did, detectives requested the files. They saw timing. They saw intent. They saw that Reeves arrived first and waited. They saw no attempt to take property. They saw a man who knew exactly where to stand to avoid a second camera's view. They saw a mistake. At 6:43 a.m., Reeves glanced upward. For less than a second, his face was fully illuminated. High enough resolution, clear enough. They ran the image through internal databases. A match returned within hours. Reeves was placed on administrative leave the next day. His badge was surrendered. His firearm was not. Investigators traced his movements, the motel receipt, the traffic camera, the garage entry log. His phone data showed his device in airplane mode from 6:30 to 6:50 a.m. He believed this erased his presence. It did not. Cell tower pings still recorded proximity. They interviewed colleagues. Some mentioned his fixation on the lawsuit, his complaints about lawyers making examples of officers, his frustration. They interviewed family. He had been distant, preoccupied, angry. On March 22, a warrant was issued. Reeves was arrested at his home at 5:18 a.m. He did not resist. He asked if the camera had worked. The charge was murder. The aggravating factor was premeditation. The trial began 11 months later. Prosecutors laid out the timeline minute by minute. They showed the lobby footage repeatedly. They played the silence. They emphasized the waiting. They introduced search histories, maps, receipts. They argued motive rooted in retaliation and reputation. The defense argued stress, career damage, a moment of loss of control. They questioned the clarity of the footage. They suggested coincidence. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. The verdict was guilty. Reeves was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years. His federal employment was terminated. His pension was revoked. The civil case did not end with Maya's death. Her estate pursued a wrongful death claim. The court acknowledged the settlement she had secured, $50,000. It was paid posthumously. The judge noted, on record, that the outcome did not reflect the value of her work. Outside the courthouse, there were no chants, no speeches, just quiet. The lobby camera still records. It still overwrites every 14 days. Most people never notice it. This case is a reminder of proximity, of how professional conflicts can turn personal, of how timing, not chance, often defines violence, and of how the smallest details, a light, a camera, 47 seconds, can expose a truth someone believed would remain unseen. If you found this report insightful, take a moment to reflect on how celebrity culture shapes health trends and why responsible conversation matters. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more in-depth coverage that goes beyond the headlines and keeps you informed as these stories continue to unfold. Share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments section.